Hello, so today is a topic that, you might have figured that I cover some social topics. I'm probably going to cover this one eventually. Today we're going to talk about misogyny. Yay! And, this is not a topic I'm going to have fun with. So to begin, let's lighten the mood before I get into the serious stuff. Today's topic is brought to you by the world's smallest beer. I wanted to show you this. In Japan, yes, there is such a thing as a 135 milliliter baby beer. So I'm gonna drink this quickly while I talk to you. In comparison, here's a tall boy. So this is a really small beer. But in any case, today's topic was prompted by podcasts. And what set me off today and was the final straw was Mr. Joe Rogan of originally Fear Factor fame, followed by UFC fame, and now he's got his own podcast, which I will say up front, I have never listened to his personal podcasts, so I'm going to try not to make overly broad judgments about Mr. Joe here, because this all comes down to him in the end and some things that he said, I believe it was yesterday. But he was just the final straw, because this past week I've been looking for new podcasts to listen to, so I got a wide variety, and oh boy, I got some horrible fucking shit in my mix. And the thing that really started this all off was Adam Tod Brown, who has a column on Cracked, and his podcast Unpopular Opinion, which, for the most part his unpopular opinions are he doesn't like Harry Potter or something like that, and, the show seemed perfectly fine until I got back to a podcast where the overall unpopular opinion was just that everybody was going to be really misogynistic and racist the entire time, and I'm like, whoa, guys, you just jumped off the fucking deep end. And, the guys made comments of their own, but they also had on a girl who was one of those girls who said, I'm not a feminist, I'm just a dumb girl. And if there's something, heavy to lift or something, I'm like, oh my god, what do I do? I'm so stupid. And, I need a man to help me. And I'm barely paraphrasing there. She legitimately did say, I am a dumb girl, and I need a man to help me at all times. Those were her actual words. And the guys were like, oh yeah, fucking chicks, right, And it went on from there, and it was just so fucking vile, and that started it off with me just being really fucking pissed off about this topic this week. And, ended, yesterday, and now I've gotten a chance to transcribe it with, Joe Rogan. So, the reason, I don't normally watch Joe, and, the reason why I did was because he had, this podcast cross with Roosterteeth and Gus and Bernie of Roosterteeth, who normally do their podcasts. And so I watched it because I normally watch the Roosterteeth podcast. And oh god, when I first turned it on, it was on a live stream when I happened to catch it right at the beginning. And I turned it on because I saw it come up in Roosterteeth, and I went, oh fuck me. Do we have Bernie and Joe Rogan in the same goddamn room? And, while I don't listen to Joe's podcast, I've seen enough of him and various things to question, how he thinks of women and his opinion of them. And, especially, his level of rah-rah macho man kind of thing. So, basically I was just trying to place my bets at the beginning. I'm like, alright, so who's gonna make the most offensive comment in this one in relation to women? Mr. Bernie Burns or fucking Joe Rogan? And I should explain my issue with Bernie. I love most of the people at Roosterteeth, and I really wish and want to like Bernie, but he made one of the most horrible and uncomfortable comments ever in a podcast that I have ever heard, which was that he said, and I'm paraphrasing here a little bit, but this is pretty goddamn close, that he wished that white male domination could last another 30 years so he could benefit from it. Whoa, dude, and I have never heard more uncomfortable laughing following that comment, ever on a Roosterteeth podcast. And unfortunately, that's kind of stuck in my head, and I can't get that comment out of my head from, you know, from the time I heard it onwards. So when I saw him on a podcast with Joe Rogan, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fucking fun. So, who won the who can make the worst comment first? Well, it's definitely Joe. Bernie was actually not that bad. So, Joe made a comment, and I actually transcribed this so I could read it for you, because one, I'm lazy and don't want to actually splice this in, and two, I don't want copyright issues. So I'm going to read you verbatim exactly what he said. And I'm sharing this comment with you not just because I find it really fucking offensive, for one. You know, and it could be arguably not just against women, actually, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. But, baby bear. But, two, just because I feel like it really illustrates the issue with a lot of misogynists. Now, this would be the issue not just with people who, you know, realize that they're misogynists and go, yeah, you know, women are fucking trash, or I don't respect them, or I don't give a shit. Which is one kind of misogynist, which, you know, you don't overtly see as much, you know. Same thing with overt racists. You don't get that many people who are burning, you know, crosses on people's lawns. The majority that you get, of course, are unintentional misogynists, where, you know, these are the guys where, yeah, a lot of the time they'll say I'm being chivalrous and things like that. Or just people where it's not that they necessarily overtly disrespect you, it's the treatment that they give you is most certainly not equal. It's like they're trying to be nice and, you know, be the strong man for you, but they don't realize in a lot of cases that at the same time, you know, them saying, oh no, I'll lift this tiny bag for you is, you know, can be interpreted as, you can't fucking do it for yourself. You know, unintentional misogynist. And I don't know what kind Joe is, but I do know that Joe illustrates the main issue, which is that he doesn't understand that women are humans in the same way as he is, and he just thinks of us as a completely different species, which is something that I'm getting really fucking tired of, I have to say. So, this is kind of a long quote. It's a whole paragraph, because I transcribed every goddamn word he said, so I'm going to read it for you right now. I'm going to try to remember what his emphasis was, so I don't add in emphasis where it wasn't. And I'm going to try and read this properly, because I meant to practice it first, and I didn't. So, here's what Joe said. To give you a lead-in, Bernie had asked him this question, which was, they were talking about, you know, basically being able to, in the future, have thoughts and memories and experiences and everything recorded, so that you could basically have a plug-in and experience everything that a person did, including their thoughts and feelings while they experienced it. And now Bernie asked a very useful question, which was, you know, if you could experience, you know, for like an hour what it was like to be a hardcore schizophrenic, would you do it so you would have a better understanding of the illness and what those people go through? Applause to Bernie. Very good question, you know, very relevant, very socially conscious. And Joe's answer was, oh no, man, like, somebody else would have to try it out first, which is valid, but then he took it here. He said, but actually, I think I would like to be a woman for a day. Well, not a day, but, you know, for a day you might get fucked. And I think you can get away with being a woman for like an hour and no one fucks you. You know, just watch TV as a woman, read books as a woman, look into politics as a woman. I would like to feel what it's like to be that. You know, maybe feel what it's like to have sex, maybe, as a woman. You know, briefly. I don't want to freak myself out. But I think that would, you know, that's something we could benefit from. Because I think one of the big gaps between men and women is that we can't even imagine what the fuck they're like. And they can't imagine what we're like. But we know that we want to have sex with them, and they know they kind of want to have sex with us. So we figure each other out enough to be nice to each other and kind of don't do what the other person gets mad at. But if you look at the difference between the way men and women behave with each other, and look at how gay guys just fuck like wild animals, clearly there's two different schools of thought that are competing for space here. And I think that it would be fascinating for a woman to be a man for a day, and a man to be a woman for a day. I think that would be way more appealing to me than being a fucking schizophrenic. Wow. That was Wow, when he said that, I'm like, oh my god, dude, ring the bell, you win the fucking prize on this one. Holy shit, man. That was fucking something. So, just to clarify specifically what I got from this. Now, I looked in the comments, and the first thing that a lot of people picked out was, the fact they were offended by the fact that he said that gay guys fuck like wild animals all the time, which, I feel is a really dumb generalization. But I could address that as well, in relation to what he said about women. But what I picked up was the fact that he said that men and women are just so vastly different, and women are just such an incredible fucking puzzle for his mind that he can't even vaguely figure us out, not even a little bit. Like basically the way he phrased that was like we were a completely separate species. It would be like saying it's like, like my cat, like I don't know what the fuck it's thinking. It doesn't know what the fuck we're thinking. But, like, we've managed to co-opt in this space. And, my cat, it doesn't, jump on the counter anymore because it knows that, that pisses me off. And, like, I know when it meows, it needs to be fed, so I don't want to piss it off. So we get along really well in the same house. Like, that's like, the level of comprehension, practically, that I'm feeling here about women. Like, he doesn't even see us as being the same fucking species, practically, the way he talks about it. It's like you just learn enough about each other to figure out what pisses the other person off so you don't do that shit. Oh my god, like, I should have looked this up. I have a feeling that he's not fucking married, obviously. And I could figure out why, unless his wife is a fucking moron and he is married. Or if he ever gets married to anyone, she's probably a moron. Like, and this is the thing about misogyny, and I get this feeling a lot from people that I've known personally in my life who have said some really fucking nasty-ass things to me. Like, I actually had somebody say, oh boy, what was it he said? He said some things, that were kind of racist, and not towards me, just in general. And I said to him, over text chat, I'm like, man, you say some stuff that's, like, pretty uncomfortably racist sometimes. Like, would you mind toning it down? It's like, I'm not racist. I'm not fucking racist. I've had lots of friends from lots of, ethnicities. I'm a misogynist. I'm like, wait, what? And then he went on to, tell me that because I didn't act passive and like men were king, basically, and he really did say this, that no man would want me, and that's probably why I moved to Japan from North America, because I couldn't find a man who was interested in me. I can't stand this. And I talked to him, and it just seemed like he just didn't understand exactly that I was a person. Like, he did, but he didn't. Like, the lack of understanding. And, I get the impression with a lot of these guys that, like, I understand the socialization of boys are boys and girls are girls, because you know what? I had that shit too when I was a little kid and I was in school, because, everybody was always like, hey, Asha, your birthday's coming up. Would you like some Barbies? You're a girl. It's like, here, let me get you something pink. And I'm like, I don't really like pink, and I don't really like Barbies, and I don't want dolls. And people would still buy them for me, or, like, makeup kits, and fucking, like, hair barrettes and shit that I hated constantly, and keep saying, well, no, I don't care if you don't like them, at a certain point that, like, you should wear them. And I remember, I have a cousin by marriage, not by blood, who would legitimately get angry at my mother, when this cousin would give me Christmas presents that were really girly things like dolls or makeup or shit like that, and I wouldn't want to play with them. She'd be like, well, why is Asha not playing with my gift? And my mom would say, well, she doesn't like that stuff. We did actually tell you that. I'm sorry that she's not playing with it, but, I told you before, don't buy her this. It's like, well, you should make her play with it. She's a girl. What the fuck's wrong with her? She's a girl. She should play with dolls. Like, how's she gonna learn how to be a girl if she doesn't play with dolls? And this is my offensive redneck cousin. Everybody's got one, and that's mine. I'm just glad I'm not blood related to her. But, yeah, that was one of her fun opinions. And it was just one of those things where it's, girls are this and boys are this. And there are plenty of women like my cousin, who is a woman, who just go, yeah, well, but, men are just, they're so different, like, they're men. And, guys were like, well, chicks are chicks, I couldn't possibly understand their emotions and things. Like, we have Joe here who says that, he could experience the thoughts and impressions and emotions and understand fully anybody that he wanted in any situation. And what he chose to do was just watch TV as a woman, read books as a woman, and look at politics as a woman. I was like, hate to break it to you, Joe, but if you want my thoughts and feelings and opinions, they're going to be pretty fucking boring because they're exactly the same, you know, on the exact same level as I'm quite sure plenty of men who happen to share my political leanings enjoy the same literature I do or enjoy the same TV shows that I do. Because guess what? I'm a fucking human being and I have very similar opinions to other Western human beings, you know, who are, well, politically left-leaning. But, yeah, like, just the fact that, like, that was the one thing that he would want to do. Like, he understands women so little that that's the one fucking thing. Oh, my God. And on top of that, you know, like, and this is, you know, like a bigger stretch of an argument, but, you know, I'll make it in relation to myself because, you know, I can work from me with 100% accuracy. So, you know, as I said before, a lot of, like, I saw a fair number of comments, especially in the live chat at the time, going on about how, you know, when he said, you know, men and women behave with each other differently, and gay guys just fuck like wild animals. Well, you know, number one, I know a bunch of gay guys that don't, but, you know, at the same time, you could argue, you know, like, I'm not in everybody's bedroom. You could argue, okay, you know, gay guys hook up more indiscriminately. If we're going on that basis, and we say that this is true at least to a certain extent. Here's the thing. You know, what you're saying is basically largely up to socialization. It's not the fact that women don't want to fuck all the time at all. It may be the fact they don't want to fuck you, for one, or the fact that there's a lot of stigma attached to fucking indiscriminately as a woman, you know? Sorry, but there is. Like, I've said to myself, because I had heard the thing about gay guys before, I've heard people say it before, and I think it's a pretty common stereotype. And I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, walk around for a day and, you know, look at people around me and go, in a free world, you know, would I want to go up to this guy and say, hey, want to go? Frequently, yes. All the fucking time, in fact. And if I knew that I wouldn't be judged and, you know, the worst would happen is just, oh, no, it's okay, I'm not interested. And that was it? Yeah, oh my god, oh my god, are you kidding me? That would be fucking great. Oh my god, seriously, I would be hitting on people all day. But no, like, you can't really do that as a girl because then everybody fucking calls you a whore and a slut for, you know, what reason? Not in particular, because it doesn't fucking involve them and it has no relation to them, but they feel like they want to call you that. You know, that and also, you know, the way people would look at you, who you were approaching, if you're a woman approaching a man, oh, God forbid. You know, they all say, oh, that would be my biggest dream, but come on, guys, like, if a girl did that to you, you're immediately gonna think she's a fucking whore. That's your first thought. It's like, oh, man, I'd love it if this girl hit on me. It's like, no, you wouldn't, because you'd fucking judge her immediately if she did. So, you know, great for girls who are like, yeah, I would hit on that guy, but I fucking can't. I have to sit here because he's not going to like me if I go and hit on him because he's going to call me a fucking whore. Or else, you know, good chance he'll disrespect me or something along those lines because he considers me fucking trashy. So even if we do have sex, he's going to be very unpleasant about it. So, yeah, you know, it's not really fair and it's not really balanced. Nah, God, no. I'm just tired of being treated like I'm something different. And I debated drawing parallels between misogyny and racism, but you know what, like, it's really, like, all the same fucking thing in a lot of ways. It really is. Like, the way it plays out, it really, really is, you know? Just basically, even if it's unintentional, because I've had some unintentional racism directed towards me, where, you know, it's things where they're trying to be kind of positive, but the second that you feel like you're treated, you know, you're being treated as the other for your race or your gender. You know, you're not the same, you're different, even if it's in a positive way. Like, I don't know, I remember when I met one of my friends who had just moved in from Toronto, and she saw me and she went, "Oh my God, I love rap, and this is a black person." And she immediately went, "Yeah, man, like, I totally love rap, and like, I've got black friends in Toronto, like, I'm totally cool, man." I'm like, oh, wow, this is awkward. But, you know, it's like, she was trying to be nice, but at the same time, she's making positive in some way assumptions about me, because she immediately considered me cool because of my skin tone, but at the same time, you know, she's making me feel different and awkward in the situation. And I don't want to be thought of as the chick, or the black girl, or the brown girl, or the different girl. I just want to be Asha. That's who I am. That's just me. I just want to be me. I don't want to be treated like something different regardless of what I am. And, you know, like, she was being positive, and it's like the same kind of thing when guys are like, well, I'm being chivalrous, you know, like, oh God, I knew one person who insisted on walking on the outside of the sidewalk towards the road, because that's how he was taught by his father, and that's just the way chivalrous men do, because that's the dangerous side, so you have to protect the women. Or the guys who purposefully always open, you know, doors for you, or the ones who pull out chairs for you still, or things like that. And if you ask how I feel about people paying for things on dates, I'll say that I'm perfectly fine with paying for myself, as long as when I tell you the place you've chosen is too fucking expensive and I can't afford it. If you say, oh no, I'll pay for you, I just really want to go here, I'm okay with you paying. If you say, okay, it's too expensive, where would you like to go, and I suggest something in my price range, I am totally fine with paying for it. But it's the same as anybody who I go out with, friend or date. You just have to make it in my price range, or else I'm going to warn you that I can't afford that, so I'm either not going to go, or you can offer to pay for it. Doesn't matter if it's a date or not. But, oh God, this is really disorganized. I'm really going to try and make it more organized than this. But yeah, I don't like being made to feel different. I really don't. Like, men and women are people. There's a huge amount of socialization that comes into how we behave. And you could even say, like, the same thing for men, because, like, you know, okay, let's look at some boyfriends I've had in the past. When we got in a fight in my last relationship, I was not the person who cried every single time. So, you know, the stereotype of it's always girls who cry, it's not always girls who cry. Now, to be fair, I also wasn't the person who lost my temper and started breaking things, but I also wasn't the person who ended up crying in the end either. So there you've got, like, male and female stereotypes in one person, and, you know, just a silently steaming stoic in me, I guess. So, you know, there are barriers broken all the time. And I do know a bunch of guys who do say, you know, I don't want to have to live up to the macho jock bullshit. And, you know, it's like, to be fair, like, I maintain, some guys do like to do the macho jock bullshit, and that's just their personality type, and some girls like to do the ultra girly girl shit. But I know a lot of people who don't like living up to either of them, and I feel like a large number of the population, if you gave them a choice, and they knew for sure, 100%, you know, they wouldn't be judged for crying or, you know, not wearing heels out or wearing makeup or, you know, not doing this or not doing that, that they just wouldn't do those fucking things. You know, if girls knew that they could just go out and hit on any guy they thought was hot, nobody would ever call them a fucking slut, I guarantee you. I know a bunch of fucking girls who would, because they say it to their girlfriends, like, fuck yeah, I want to hit that. But would they ever go over and try and hit that? No, because I don't want to be called whores. I guarantee, you know what? Guys, if you drop the whore label and just let the girls hit on you, you might actually benefit. It would be a huge amount less work for you. And you might actually get more tail, because I know guys, oh, no girls ever like me. I'm like, I know girls that like you, but I'm not going to break their confidence and tell you, because they said, oh, don't tell them. But no, you would get laid if girls were allowed to hit on you by society, but they're just not, because they think you'll think they're skanks. But in any case, I'm tired of being treated like, it's not even necessarily like a second-class citizen all the time, not that it isn't a fair bit of the time, and oh boy, East Asia is a fun fucking thing for a woman. That's totally fun, and that's a whole other discussion about Japan and the things I hear, especially from my Japanese female students who work in big business in the big business center of Japan. But that I will make actually another video on what they've said to me about the choice between basically getting married and having kids or their careers, because that is considered a completely separate thing, and you choose one or you choose the other. You do not do both here. It's very retro and very sad and very disappointing, and people wonder, well, why don't Japanese people have babies? And it's because Japanese women don't want to get married and give up their careers to have fucking babies and sit at home after they've spent a lot of time getting degrees, undergrads, masters, PhDs. They're very successful, very smart, and they go, I don't want to be pressured to permanently give up my career to become a fucking housewife, which is a valid choice. Very, very valid. So that's a whole other topic. But I'm going to go for now. Yeah, so next time, you know, you might think that somebody's a little bit different. Think, you know, is this man, or probably this woman, because I know most of you are guys, really that fucking different? Really that different? Because in my experience, honestly, the difference between the men and the women that I know in North America is smaller than the overall cultural differences between myself and the Japanese people I work and live around. Male or female. Like, the difference between, I don't know, like, say a North American woman and a North American man, and say a North American man and a Japanese man, is, to me, in a lot of ways, bigger than the male-female difference within the same culture. Like, it's just ridiculous to treat people differently based on that shit. So, I hate what I did with this video. It was so well planned, and then it all went to shit. Anyway, I'm gonna review this and hopefully upload it if I approve it. And I'm sorry if my camera keeps going light or dark. If I move slightly this way, it does that. So anyway, sorry, and good night.